In this presentation, we will discuss the formatting of month-end reports that we will be providing to customers or clients. We're going to have to put this information together in order to give it to the client in some way. We're probably going to be giving it either in a paper format, mailing it, more likely in some type of digital format, either by email or putting it on the cloud in some way. So we need to think about how we're going to do that. In this presentation, we will be looking at just getting to those reports, downloading them in two formats, one being a PDF file and the other being to Excel. Then we'll discuss how to what to do with those documents once we have them on the computer. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. We're going to go into our file here for our client file, and we are going to set up a folder and open the QuickBooks file that we will be working with. I'm going to go into the QuickBooks data file. We're going to use the QB1 file here and open up the QuickBooks 1 file, the straight cash basis method. There should be a backup file for you as well if you'd like to use that to follow along. As that opens, we're going to set up a file to put our documents to. So we're going to create these reports and save them somewhere. Remember, our end goal is to present this and present it well, because these are really the documents that the end client are going to see. So we got to, format matters, just the look kind of matters. So we're going to go back to Get Great Guitars. We're going to go into the documents 2019, and we're just going to do this for January. So we're going to run these for January reports with the assumption that we're going to do this basically every month, giving these reports. And of course, the end of the year is really the end goal that we're most concerned with, probably for most small businesses. But we want to make sure we're noting, hey, we're doing this each month as we go and make it look as presentable as we can. So we're going to then have the reports, and within the reports we might put something that would be the customer reports. I'm going to call it Bookkeeping Reports January 2019. Now this zipped file may be something that we actually give that name to the customers. We want to put something there that would be helpful for the customer to file on their side. Here we are on the home page. We have the Open Windows open. To open the Open Windows, you go to the View dropdown and Open Windows list. Now we're not going to get into a lot of formatting here. What we're going to do is just get to these reports and practice downloading them a few different ways so we can see how we can deal with this data. So to do that, let's go to our main two reports, the balance sheet and income statement. Reports up top, company and financial, going down to the balance sheet standard. I'm going to change the date to 01/31/19. It's going to be the end of the first month. We would do the same first, second month. Every month we go on going forward, and then the year end. Now we could format this by going to Customize Reports up top. Again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. We've got the dates here. We've got the filters, header, footers. If you want to change these headers and footers, this is here. If you want to remove the date time, you can do so here. That's often the case. If you want to customize it a little bit for just your look, you can do that here. Like you can have brackets or red around the bracketed or negative numbers, and you can use different fonts, and a touch of this goes a long way. So if you want to customize that for a little bit, you can do that. I would not get too carried away though. And then we're going to say, okay, and also if you want to get rid of the pennies, sometimes that's nice. You know, customers may not care about the cents so much, so you might want to take that off. So you can look at those features. We here are just going to basically get used to downloading these reports and trying to see how we can sort them and format them. Now remember that this balance sheet may not be perfect. It's not perfect because we're on a cash basis system. The more accrual basis system, the more we will be. So we're not claiming that these are things that you should go to the bank with and say, hey, this is my financial statement is completely correct here. But it is going to give you a report of it, and it'll give you basically the cash balance here, which is probably what our clients are most concerned with. So in this report, all we're going to do is just save these to a folder, get used to saving them as a PDF file, and then we'll also save them as an Excel file, and we'll discuss what we can do with those two formats in a later presentation. To save as a PDF, we could go to the print and save as PDF up top. I prefer to use a Qt PDF printer, and I'll explain why here. We're going to go to Reports, Print Reports. Now we're in the printer section here. We could preview by selecting this item. And that's one reason I like to do it this way, because now we get to preview instead of just saving as a PDF without having as well a preview option. And we can just go right from here and print it as a PDF if we use something like a Qt PDF printer, which is a PDF printer. So you can go, this is free to download, should be still. And that means that anytime you go to the printing option, you have the option to print and save as a PDF. Helpful, because not all reports have the same printing to a PDF or save as a PDF option, and any other program you use that has this, as long as you can print to a PDF, which is nice. So we'll go ahead and then print this from here. And it's going to open up a window to browse to say where do you want to put it. We're going to put it desktop, guitars, docs. Let's do the whole thing. Desktop. We're going to go into guitar lessons and equipment. We're going to go into the documents, 2019, January, reports, and then we're going to go into the bookkeeping reports that we just set up. So we got to get used to that kind of mapping it out. And this is going to be called balance sheet 2019. And I like to format this right under where I can read it there and see it. And then we'll say save that one. Now the next thing I'm going to do is save it as an Excel file. You can only do this if you have Excel, but it's useful, and the next presentation will show how we can format these Excel documents a bit more nicely in a few different ways, not just in Excel, but also in a PDF file that makes it a lot nicer, or easier to give to someone at least. So we'll go to the Excel. We're going to create a new Excel worksheet. So it's as easy as this to export if you have Excel on the computer. And we want to put it to a new worksheet this time. Next time we're going to use the second option, so be aware. We're going to go to export. It should then open up Excel. It should create a new tab in Excel, and it should export this to that new tab. Here it is, and I'm not going to do a lot of formatting other than just name the tab right now. I'm just going to name the tab by double clicking on it and then call it BS balance sheet. And then we're just going to save it. I'm going to save this file, and we'll get back to formatting it later in the next presentation, but I just want to get this on our computer in the two formats now. So we'll go to Save As, we'll go to Browse, we're going to put this to that same folder on the desktop. It's going to be under the Guitar Lessons and Equipment, in the Documents, in the 2019 folder, and in the January folder, in the Client Provided Documents folder. No, it's not in the Client Provided, it's in the Reports folder. I went back. Reports folder, and then the bookkeeping reports. And then I'm just going to call this basically the same name. I'm going to call this the bookkeeping reports for January 2019. And the reason is I'm going to put all of our reports into this one file and save that. Okay. Now I'm going to actually close it, and I'm going to reopen it every time we send another report to it. Okay, so now we're going to do the profit and loss, which is the other standard report. We're going to go to the reports drop down, the company and financial profit and loss. We've seen this many a time. Changing the dates from 01/01/19 to 01/31/19. Again, I'm not going to get too much into the formatting here. It's pretty straightforward standard formatting, but you can look at the formatting up top and check out how you can change the formatting and make some differences here. Now I'm just going to print this out, so we're going to go to Print. I'm going to print it as a PDF file so that it will then save and we can then send it. Also note that you can email it straight here up top and email it, but you don't really want to do that if you're doing a bunch of reports, because you're going to send someone a bunch of different emails, and we want to make it nice. So we don't want to send them like 10 emails with a bunch of different reports. We'd like to make it look nice. They're probably not going to open them all. So really it's the presentation that counts for most of the stuff until year end, probably when they really need it. And so then we're going to say preview is okay. It's going to the Qt PDF printer. So we'll say print. And then it's going to the right location. So I'm going to just call this the income statement, or we could profit and loss 2019. Now we should put for the year ended or the month ended. Well, let's just say January 2019. And so there we have that. Now, some customers might like the name income statement better. They might not know profit and loss, and they might be familiar with income statement. So you could change the name of this particular report by going to the header and footer and changing this name to income statement if you think that would be more impressive to some people or helpful to some people. Now, those are the main two reports we could have. Just remember though, it depends on what we're doing with some other documentation. If we were tracking invoices or something like that for clients, then the common report that we would have would be reports drop down, and then we would go to customers and receivables, and either aging reports or customer detail. On a pure bookkeeping system, a cash basis, we wouldn't really have much there, so we wouldn't really provide much there. Note also that we may have payroll, same type of thing. If it's a third-party payroll, then we probably don't have all the detail in our system. And we could be the middle person, however, to get the information from someone like ADP Paychecks, the third-party vendor, and then provide it to our clients. And that a lot of times payroll services will set that up that way so that you are the presenter person and you're the person that the customer trusts and goes to at one place without them having to go to multiple different people. So that could be an option to set up. But again, if we're not running payroll within the bookkeeping system, as we're not with the simplified method, we're not going to have the payroll within the QuickBooks system. We may want to run banking detailed information. So if we go to reports in banking, we've got deposit and check detail, which could be useful. I mean, we might just say that might just be another report that we can enter into and say, okay, here's our deposits for the time period 01/01/19 to 01/31/19, and just give this information so they can see this. These are the deposits, that we have been recording, and these are the accounts that we recorded to. And you can see we recorded them all to sales. And if they pick one up that we missed that's not a sale, they can look at it like this one went to a loan. We picked that one up. So we can give this information just to give some detail. This one went to equity. And so we have that information because the owner put it in. And so we'll print this one out same way. We're going to go to before we do this, however, we didn't export the profit and loss. So let's actually go back to the profit and loss in the open windows. We'll be back here in a second. And I'm going to export this one again to Excel. We printed it as a PDF. We didn't export it. So we'll go to Excel. We're still going to create a new worksheet, but this time we're going to put it into an existing workbook right there. We're going to browse for it, looking for that workbook. And if we select the drop down, it's going to where we want in terms of what's fun. The desktop, we're going to go into guitar lessons, documents, 2019, January, reports, bookkeeping, and we want this Excel document. So I'm just going to click that. I could double click or click it once and open. And this is the nice thing. Once we hit export, it'll open up Excel again and add this to the existing workbook in a new tab, which is nice because now we're accumulating all this information in one place, which would be easier for us to provide to somebody. So you'll notice it put it on the left side. I'm gonna left click on it and drag it to the right. And I'm just gonna call this, I double clicked on it at P and L. And we'll format it later. I'm just gonna keep on adding reports here as long as we remember. Remind me next time if I forget again. So we're gonna say save and save that. Then we're gonna go to the deposit detail, which is already open. And we'll do the same thing here. I'm gonna go to print, add report, and we will print it to the PDF printer, print it, and then I'm going to put this right underneath so I can see what I'm doing and say, okay, this is a deposit detail, January 2019, and save. Now we can do the same for the check detail. We can go, or let's put it into Excel. Thanks for reminding me there. Let's do the same to Excel. So we'll go to Excel, create new Excel worksheet, and then we're going to put that into an existing workbook and browse to find that workbook. There it is. I'm just going to double click on it this time. and export. And once again, it should open that up, and we're just going to have this on a new tab within the existing workbook. So here it is. It's on a new tab. I'm just going to left click on it and drag it to the right. Double click on it, and let's call this deposits. Something like deposits. Okay. And then I'm just going to close this out and save it and say okay. And now let's do the expenses, or the other side of things. So we'll go to reports, banking, and we'll go to the check detail. And dates 01/01/19 to 01/31/19. And now we have the check information that we can see here. And that, again, that'll give us some more detailed report. So we can save this information. So we'll go up top and just go to print. And we're going to print it to a PDF. So we'll print that. And we're going to save this and just call it check detail. Check detail. What happened here? January 2019. Save it. And now we'll export it to Excel. Create a new Excel worksheet. And we're going to go to an existing workbook. Browse, double click on the existing workbook, export. It'll open up the workbook, create a new tab, put this within that new tab. Here it is. I'm gonna grab it and pull this new tab to the left, double click on it, call it check detail, something like that. And that's all I'm gonna do to it for now. We'll go back to it later. Let's do some formatting. I'm gonna close it back up and save that. Now note that you may want to provide like the bank reconciliation detail, but it doesn't really give a lot of detail here. I mean, if we go to reports, banking, and go to the reconciliation, so reconciliation description, the previous reconciliation, and if I would look at the detailed report, because that's the one that's going to give you some new stuff here. If we look at it, note that it's in a different kind of format because of the way QuickBooks, I think it has to do it this way because the bank reconciliations are kind of more of a dynamic or different kind of dynamic type of report. So it looks a little bit different, and if you're going to print them out, then you want to do it as you go because it could be more difficult to print out prior reports. So, and normally the bank reconciliation is something you really want to print out. However, here the bank reconciliation isn't really giving us much detail. All this stuff, it looks kind of impressive, but it's just directly from the bank because that's where we got it. We're not reconciling anything. It's the same bank. So we talked about that prior. So it doesn't really add a whole lot to do this, although we could at least say, hey, look, we did reconcile, and that's just kind of double checks that we have the same numbers in our books as the banking books. But really the reconciliation report is down here, and there is no difference because we entered it all in correctly. So, and again, that's not really the point of a bank reconciliation normally. The point is that if we entered it incorrectly, there still would be reconciling differences, those being outstanding items. So we could save this now, but just be aware of that. I'm not going to save it for this presentation, however. Now, the other thing we could give is going to be graphs. We may want to give some graphs because they're kind of impressive. When I go to the reports and look at graphs, I typically go to the report center. And you can just kind of take a look at the types of graphs that are there under the different sections. So like if you're in standard and you go to company and financial tab where we are at now, and we're in like this grid view, you can also view in like this way, and it's easy to see when a graph pops up, right? You say, oh, there's a colorful graph. That might look good. It's an income and expense type graph. And if we keep on going through here, we see this. There's a colorful graph, net worth graph that might be interesting to have. I'm going to go down here to the sales items, and if we go through the sales and say, how about a sales graph? Here's kind of like a sales graph. Those are going to be the major kind of graphs. Now for us, when we entered all the sales in, they're not that interesting because we don't have any customers or items. We entered all deposits as sales. So the most interesting graph to us might be up here in the company file, going back here to the expense graph. So we might want to sort through here and say, here's a graph. Let's take a look at that. run that graph. And we'll change the dates from 01/01/19 to 01/31/19 and OK. And so now we got a graph by insurance, payroll expense, purchases, sales items. So we can see, you know, what's our biggest thing? Insurance expense right now. Why? Because we paid it all in January. So that's weird because it's on a cash basis. But we can see of the pie a nice pictorial layout of our expenses. So that's kind of nice. Maybe that would be something worth keeping here. So we'll go ahead and print this out. Now note the printing options are different. We don't have the save as, but the Qt PDF printer saves us because we can still print it here as using the Qt PDF printer. So we can go ahead and say print this one. And we're going to say that this is a, what do we call this? We'll just call it an expense graph. Expense graph. And save that. Now we might want this in Excel too. So what we'll do for Excel is I'll actually open up the Excel document that we've been working with, because we can't export this to Excel. We don't have the option. So we can go to Reports, Bookkeeping, open up the Excel report that we've been saving to. I'm going to start a new tab over here and just call it Graph, Expense Graph. And we could do some copying and pasting over here. I could do a screenshot. All I really want is this graph piece here. So what I could do is go to the Insert tab, and we could go to Illustration. And within that drop down, you'll see this screen clipping. What that'll do is it'll jump to the prior screens that were open, and you can kind of take a clip, draw a square around what you want. So typically we could take the whole screen here, or we can take a clipping. And the clippings are actually helpful a lot of times. If we go to the clipping, we might want something just like all I want is the graph. Like I just draw a square around that, because I just want the pie graph. The other graph isn't that interesting. And then I could do it again, go to Insert and go here, Screenshot, Screen Clipping, and now I want the key. And now we have something to mess with in Excel once we start looking at this file too. So I'm going to save that just to get that. Now this doesn't really help me too much, this income expense thing up here, so I don't really need that in the Excel document. It's not that impressive looking. So those are going to be the major types of reports that we can take a look at. The other thing we may want to do is just make a backup file for the client as well. So next time we'll take a look at basically adding that backup file to the group of things we can use and the format of things we can provide to our customers. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.